Welcome to Verified RX, your prescription for success. Brought to you by the Vizient Center for Pharmacy Practice Excellence.
Vizient publishes our pharmacy market outlook twice a year. The outlook features drug price projections and key market insights to help support member strategic planning. Doctors Amanda Frick and Jeni Hayes, both senior clinical managers for market intelligence, and my Vizient pharmacy colleagues join me today to give us an early look. I'm Carolyn Liptak, Pharmacy Executive Director in the Vizient Center for Pharmacy Practice Excellence, and your program host. Welcome back to the podcast, team.
Thanks, Carolyn.
Thanks for having us.
We're all looking forward to this new PMO. Jeni, can you tell us some of the hot topics highlighted in this pharmacy market outlook?
Sure. We open this edition of the Summer 2024 Pharmacy Market Outlook with several important updates from our fearless leader, Dan Kistner, on his increasing scope of responsibility to include medical, surgical, blood, laboratory, and capital programs. In combination with our spend management team, we plan to launch the first integrated spend management market outlook in January 2025, which will combine the powerful analytics of both the pharmacy market outlook and the budget impact report. In our executive summary, we also touch on the expanding indications of previously approved medications, such as semaglutide, which increased almost 80% in spend since our edition last year. Our listeners should be familiar with the increasing influence of GLP-1s, such as semaglutide and tirzepatide, and understanding how that can impact their organization. Our report also urges providers to prepare for an increased number of high-cost cell and gene therapies entering the market that will significantly impact provider budgets and operational processes. Currently, FDA-approved cell and gene therapies range in annual wholesale acquisition costs upwards of $4.25 million. So these therapies are really important for pharmacy leaders to consider.
Thanks, Jeni. Amanda, I did notice that the pipeline section looks different in this edition. Can you tell us a little bit about the updates that were made?
Yeah, each edition that we publish of the Pharmacy Market Outlook, at least as long as I've been involved, going back at least a few years, we have included a pipeline section. What we've done based on feedback from our provider customers is kept our pipeline. However, we've expanded it to include an estimated launch price. This is just an estimate. It is based on comparing these drugs to similar therapeutic options, looking at different treatment options that currently exist for these disease states, as well as looking at historical purchase patterns and launch prices. That is a new feature that you will see in this upcoming edition of the PMO.
Well, that's exciting, Amanda. In regards to the pipeline, what are some drugs that you're looking forward to seeing approved in 2024?
When you look at this section, you're going to see several gene therapies, and you're also going to see several cellular immunotherapies. Both areas are growing exponentially. We've been talking about gene and cell therapies for some time in the pharmacy market outlook, so that trend continues with this edition. Along those lines, two therapies that I'm excited about seeing are afami-cel. This is the first engineered T-cell receptor therapy, newer category of cellular immunotherapies, and it's the first TCR therapy approved for solid tumors, and obi-cel. This is a new CAR T agent, which the manufacturer is reporting it has fast on, fast off kinetics, more controlled interaction with T cells with the cancer cells. The manufacturer is reporting it has a potential to be first in class from a tolerability standpoint as far as cytokine release syndrome.
So, Amanda, this is now the second edition that we have new and noteworthy approvals included. Can you touch on that? Tell us some of the approvals that you're most excited to see.
Yeah, absolutely. This past edition of the Pharmacy Market Outlook, that winter 2024 edition, that was the first time that we included this new and noteworthy approvals section. It's not inclusive of all drug approvals, but we've covered the big ones, those that are, as the name implies, really noteworthy. We include drug, route, mechanism, indication, and why it is noteworthy. What's new and different about this drug? As far as ones that stood out to me, I'm going to say Rezdiffra. That is the first treatment option approved for NASH. I know we've had several agents in the pipeline in years past that just never came to fruition. And the other one I would point out is lipoleucel. This is the first tumor-infiltrating lymphocyte, or TIL, therapy approved. And that, again, is one of those newer categories of cellular immunotherapies that has just emerged. So that was really exciting to see.
Thank you for that. I know Jeni touched on this a little bit earlier in our conversation, and it continues to be top of mind for everyone. But Amanda, what are you hearing from our provider customers on their experience with cell and gene therapy agents? What are their perceived challenges?
This is a topic that is front and center in our provider customers' minds right now. Cell and gene therapy is a rapidly growing space. The first gene therapy was approved back in 2017. To date, we have 23 agents approved. However, that number is anticipated to double by 2027. Our provider customers are grappling with how to operationalize cell and gene therapies, how they get reimbursed. Cost and reimbursement is something that we hear from everyone that we talk to. Who's going to pay for this? Patient selection and coordination, something that has come to my attention that I didn't realize before. Several of these therapies can take, say, 6 to 8 months before they're even ready. So really staying in contact with the patients, making sure the patient truly wants this therapy and is going to be a good candidate for this therapy. Questions around hazardous handling, a lot of it really is centered around those operational challenges and cost and reimbursement. It's an evolving space, and right now the big question is how to get it up and moving.
In the summer edition, we always focus on therapeutic areas. Jeni, can you tell us more about these findings?
Sure, Carolyn. I'm really excited about our overview of therapeutic areas this summer. In addition to some of the enhancements we made to our pipeline section and new and noteworthy approvals, we also expanded and revised some of our therapeutic areas to better align with our provider customers and their various service lines. Some of these new categories include hematological agents such as clotting factors and growth factors. And additionally, we divided the cardiometabolic section into cardiopulmonary and endocrine and metabolic to better represent what is going on at our customer provider institutions. So we're going to touch on each of them briefly, so hang on tight. Here we go. Alphabetically, our first therapeutic area is autoimmune and inflammatory disease states, which really encompass dermatology, gastroenterology, and rheumatology. This is our second largest area for spend, representing almost 23% of provider spend through wholesaler channels. Humira and Stelara continue to lead the top medication spend, which shouldn't be a surprise. We've also seen some huge increases in spend for Gamifant, which is an interferon blocking antibody primarily used in pediatric patients, and that agent actually comes in at number 4 for Children's Hospital Association spend. Moving to our new cardiopulmonary section, the top agents in this category include Trikafta for the treatment of patients with cystic fibrosis and Xolair for asthma. These are medications that are delivered through both retail and provider-administered channels in the ambulatory space, really providing an opportunity for our providers to generate revenue and deliver exceptional patient care. In the acute care space for cardiopulmonary, we saw huge increases in spending on norepinephrine, particularly the premixed bags, really showing that shift to more convenient dosage forms. With our new endocrine and metabolic section, this therapeutic area is really dominated by spending on semaglutide for the treatment of both diabetes and weight loss, and I mentioned was up 77% compared to our summer 2023 outlook. As I mentioned, our new hematological section includes growth factors like pegfilgrastim, anticoagulants such as apixaban, and clotting factors such as Kcentra. We saw several interesting trends with these therapies, such as tenecteplase surpassing the spend of alteplase, as well as increased spend on both Ultomiris and Kcentra. Moving to infectious diseases, the two main themes include continued increase in spending for Biktarvy for patients living with HIV, which is a combination of both price and utilization increases. As well, in infectious diseases, we have a pretty comprehensive update on vaccines, including COVID-19, influenza, pneumococcal, and RSV. Spend in the neurology therapeutic areas driven by medications for the treatment of multiple sclerosis and migraines, spanning again both infusion and specialty retail services. Additionally, there are 4 gene therapies approved in neurology, including the recent approval of Lenmeldy, which launched at the highest ever wholesale acquisition cost of $4.25 million for a single dose. Our oncology section represents the largest portion of wholesaler drug spend at 24%. This does not include direct purchases for agents such as CAR-T and other cellular immunotherapies. So really provider spend on oncology therapies, probably greater than 25% of budgets at this point for organizations that provide oncology services. One of the new competitors to these CAR-T cellular immunotherapy products are the bispecific T-cell engagers, whose use has actually surpassed CAR-T as of the fourth quarter of 2023, and will really be interesting to see these more off-the-shelf agents and their use compared with updating the patient's own immune cells. Top spend for oncology medications purchased through wholesaler channels continues to be led by Keytruda and Darzalex Faspro, and a continued increase of medications given in the ambulatory or home settings for patients with cancer. And finally, plasma is, as always, dominated by immune globulin spend, with GammaGuard, Privigen, and Gamunex-C making up about 75% of immune globulin spend for our providers. Additionally, we provide some really timely information on the supply reduction for certain Row D products, and then a resource from our Center for Pharmacy Practice Excellence comparing the products currently available on the market during this supply restriction.
All good information, Jeni. But now, the moment we have all been waiting for. What is the estimated projection for this edition?
The estimated price projection, and this represents the anticipated increase in the cost of pharmaceuticals purchased through wholesaler channels for calendar year 2025, is 3.81%. Please note that this rate does not include increases in utilization, any inflation for direct purchase items, or the additional financial impact of newly approved medications, as Amanda previously discussed. For our Children's Hospital Association pediatric organizations, the projected inflation rate is a bit higher at 3.88%. Drug approvals for the pediatric population have primarily focused on specialty drugs and gene therapies, which we have already discussed present huge logistical and financial challenges for our providers.
This has been a great summary of the new PMO. Where can our listeners go for more detailed information?
I really encourage our listeners to visit our website at vizientinc.com. Our provider and supplier customers can log in to download the full report and interact with our webpage and find additional companion documents, such as a letter to the C-suite discussing some of these themes. Others can access that report through the website as well to receive their own copy.
Jeni and Amanda, thank you both so much for joining us today to share your thoughts and insights. It's been great chatting with you.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. It was a pleasure to share all the work that our team has done to put together this document.
Thanks, Carolyn.
And to our listeners, please join us for more Verified RX podcasts. Subscribe today, like us, and send us your comments. We'd love to hear from you. Verified RX is your prescription for success and is brought to you by the Vizient Center for Pharmacy Practice Excellence. I'm Carolyn Liptak. Thanks for listening.